Justin, and we're representing ModPod today. We're dealing with modular design used in the architectural visualization industry. And today we're going to outline some of the problems, solutions, and obstacles that we've researched in our project. The main problem that we're dealing with is how model homes are too expensive and they need a better alternative, such as like an animation. With current model homes, they usually can only build one per community, and obviously they can't show all of the different options or floor plans that would be possible in the community. Like I said, model homes are expensive. You have to build them, you have to maintain them, you have to staff them, and this costs the businesses a lot of money. So it limits the amount of things they can show, and the client doesn't get to see exactly what they would be purchasing. And in traditional animations, they can't show every aspect of the home because they're pre-rendered. It takes a long time to render each frame, so they kind of just try to give an overview of the home. So if like the client wants to see inside the garage or see a closet, they'd have to redo this animation, which would take a lot of time.
And the main point from there is that it takes a long time to go from picture A to picture B, or maybe we got this picture reversed, I'm not sure. But the key point is the time it takes to re-render an animation. You have to redo the fly-through, and you have to re-render everything, and that's very difficult to do with high-quality renders, because a high-quality render like this takes about 421 years, or give or take. Realistically, maybe this render takes 2 hours, maybe it takes 16 plus, but a render like this is not quick to do, and therefore you can't expect your client to wait for your next day to get an updated version of what they want to see. So our solution to this problem is to actually tackling modeling in a slightly different way. Say you were given this house in the corner and you wanted to model it. Traditionally, you would just model the walls, kind of just as you saw fit. They were going to end up being one big piece and not broken down. Our solution is to actually just hit the house with a hammer, and then you're done, and make these modular pieces. And so as you can see, these wall pieces are interchangeable. They're all the same dimension and everything. Everything's interchangeable, and everything can snap together how you want. So if you wanted to make a different, maybe 3 floors, or if you wanted to make it a little bit wider, everything's scalable, everything's customizable, and you throw these pieces into a real-time engine. The problem, this is our obstacle slide, the problem we're facing is ArcViz is kind of in between real-time and pre-rendered animation. They're happy with what they have pre-rendered, and they don't see the need to go towards real-time. They think they're good where they're at. And the issue we have with that is that, or the reason they don't want to make this switch is because it will have a negative effect on their pipeline. In order to model modularly, it's a different overhead. You actually have to spend more time in the beginning part of the stages rather than the later stages of where they want to make these high-quality renders. So they aren't familiar with the technique. Another issue that they have is repetition. Modular pieces are repetitive. There's not a lot you can do about that. However, in our research we came up with, we found that lighting can be easily used to mask this, and so can alternative geometry to cover up seams and cover up repetition. So what they would like to do is just take their traditional high poly models, or maybe not the cleanest geometry that they have, just kind of throw that into an engine and be like, it'll work. And in reality, this isn't what happens. If you throw something into an engine, you're going to get a giant explosion. And when I say a giant explosion, what I'm talking about is frame rate issues. For video, you're going for 30 frames per second. And if you throw a not clean geometry into an engine, what you'll end up with is 15 frames per second, maybe worse. Maybe you'll just have a whole bunch of jumpy motion. You won't even be able to perceive it as motion. So that's the issue you have with just throwing things in. And basically, to sum that up, the ArcViz industry is kind of stuck in their ways. They think game engines are just for games, and they won't see them as a possibility for possibly making a walkthrough or something like that. And now Andy's going to tell you why maybe engines would be a good idea for that.
Okay, game engines are particularly good at rendering efficiently. One of the main methods they use to do this is called polygon culling. There are different types, as you can see here, but basically the concept is it only renders what's in the viewing frame at any given time, and it doesn't have to worry about the other stuff, so it increases the efficiency. Another way they do increased efficiency is that it handles instances better than some of the traditional renderers. So if you have like 30 duplicate wall sections, it only has to render the first one fully, and then the instances take less and less time to render. So you can make a big building that's more efficient. The last thing that's a really good aspect of game engines for this is the use of first-person controllers. It has already set up these easy controls that a client can walk around in the environment. They can see whatever they want to see. Here's an example of it. A first-person controller is known to be the best for getting the client to feel like they're in the environment, which is important when you're trying to sell something. You want them to feel like, okay, this is what I'm going to get. I can see what this is. So as you can see, you can choose wherever you want to go and explore as you see fit. And the last thing is that they're easily changeable, customizable, like Justin said. For example, a lot of homes will have these alternative elevations that you can choose. You can see a lot of the pieces, like the garage doors and the windows, are repeated. So these modular pieces would just be repeated. Through our research, we've discovered that the real-time engine is a possible solution to this problem in the archviz industry, and it requires further research, but it's a long way. That's it.